Hello and welcome everyone to Thomas's Tangent Time. We are going to talk about futurology. What the hell is it? Pretty interesting actually. I didn't know about futurology until about obviously we'll get into what it is, but most people talk about futurology, but they don't know that it's an actual study by some people in academia. If you talk about time travel and what's possible in the future, and you're actually, somewhat guessing and supposing might what happen, technically you're being a future studies because there's no empirical studies for it. It's supposition and mathematical playing around and theoretical physics and stuff like that. And Dao Su, our friend here on the bottom, is going to tell us a lot about those futurist ideologies. He's helping us look up some of that right now. But we also have our friend Scott here. Say hello to everyone, Scott.
Hello, hello, hello.
Hello. All right. So let us dive straight in, as we always do. Pleasantries be damned. Pleasantries be damned. All right. So, futurists, which is weird here, also known as futurologists, perspectivists, foresight practitioners, and horizon scanners? Not so sure about that one. They're people whose specialty or interest is in future studies or the attempt to systematically explore predictions and possibilities about the future and how they can emerge from the present, whether that of human society in particular or life on Earth in general. So it's pretty specific. I mean, it's going to talk. So I'm going to read this couple of paragraphs here, and then we're going to go to Dao Su. He's probably got a little bit for us. The term futurist most commonly refers to people who attempt to understand the future, such as authors, consultants, thinkers, organizational leaders, and others who, well, I would argue statisticians as well, and others who engage in interdisciplinary and systems thinking to advise private and public organizations on such matters as diverse global trends, possible future scenarios, emerging markets, opportunities, and risk management. So, futurist is not in the sense of the art movement futurism. So, yeah, that is a thing to remember. There's an art movement in the early 1900s, I think, that's called futurism. That's not what we're talking about. I mean, we can talk about it, but that's not what we're talking about. So, the Oxford English Dictionary, God, if you will, identifies the earliest use of the term futurism in English, 1842. To return, okay, so it says it to refer in a theological context to Christian eschatological tendency of the time. So eschatologies are like end world ideologies, like what's going to happen in the end times, and Christian eschatologies are usually, well, there's a fuckload of them, so I don't even know where to start on that. But so I don't know why futurism is associated with that in a theological context. Not really sure. Anyway, the next recorded use is the label adopted by the Italian and Russian futurists, the artistic, literary, and political movements of the 1920s and 30s, which sought to reject the past and fervently embrace speed technology and often violent change. Yeah. So there are a number of organizations that specialize in this field, including the World Future Society, the Association of Professional Futurists, and the World Future Studies Foundation. Hmm. So I'll read a little bit more in just a second, and we'll talk about some authors and things like that. But Dow, what you got for us? Give us a juicy one.
All right. Well, let's see. There's lots of different futurist scenarios that people have come up with out there, bad to good. One of the good ones that has some scientific backing that you may have heard of is the Alcubierre warp drive, which is
Say that first part again.
Alcubierre. It's the name of the physicist who wrote the paper, Miguel Alcubierre. He's a Mexican physicist.
Hell yeah, go Mexico.
But hell yeah. So the basically the warp drive idea is an idea of creating like expanding space behind you and destroying it in front of you so that you don't have to move faster than the speed of light, but you can still travel faster than the speed, like travel
Does it
distance.
put you inside of a warp bubble?
Yeah, I
Okay.
mean, that would be the term warp bubble. I think existed in
Star
Star
Trek.
Trek
Yeah, Star
before
Trek.
in science, but this is a scientific article and
It
so.
might not be a warp bubble, but let's just pretend
Mhm.
that it is and have fun. I think of a warp bubble as like not like dilithium. You know, in Star Trek, dilithium crystals power a generator that creates a warp bubble somehow. I don't know what the fuck that would be, but I don't know. I mean, technically, that would be slipping into a pocket of like subspace, right?
Ooh,
Yeah,
I
that's what they were doing in Star Trek. They had this idea that there was like different levels of space that
Yeah,
you like
space
go
and
into.
subspace. Yeah,
It would be like shorter distances. It would still take time, but it would just be
or,
a lot.
or
yeah,
maybe using the indeterminacy and the entanglement of quantum reality to move faster. I don't know. Maybe in subspace you can
in Star
access
Trek,
that.
well, in Star Trek, a lot of it's about like collapsing gravitational forces in front of you and expanding them behind you, right? So that's what like an atomic. That's what a warp bubble is you extract gravity in front of you so it pulls you towards it and you expand it behind you so it
Mhm.
just moves you through space without actually having to travel faster than
Yeah, that might be it. On the show, they said warp 9.97 on Voyager was like, can't remember how many times faster than the speed of light,
yep,
like 10,000 times faster than the speed of light, something like
yep,
that. It was a lot, you know.
yeah.
Um,
In the
can't
next
remember what he said. He
generation,
said like 900 trillion kilometers per second or something like that. It was something that Tom Paris, you remember the guy, the
yeah,
red shirt guy,
that
Tom Paris?
that's when he turned into like the
No, no,
fucking
no, no, no. This is a different one. This is the one where they rescued Amelia Earhart on the
mm,
episode. You know what I'm talking about, where they rescued her on that
yes,
planet,
yes, yes, yep,
and she asked how fast the ship can go, and he says warp 9.975. Man, I'm a nerd. Um,
So,
and it
um,
was like somewhere in the range of like 900 trillion kilometers per second or something. He said something to that effect. Anyway, go ahead, Dell.
there is warp
Oh,
10
stop.
in Star Trek
Yeah,
canon.
it's being everywhere at once.
Yep.
It's being in all
the
places at once.
The Star Trek television series and films use the term warp drive to describe their method of faster than light travel. Neither the Alcubierre theory nor anything similar existed when the series was conceived, but the term warp drive and general concept originated with John W. Campbell's 1931 science fiction novel Islands of Space. Alcubierre stated in an email to William Shatner that his theory was directly inspired by the term used in the show and cites the warp drive of science fiction in the 1994 article that supposes the Alcubierre warp drive. A USS Alcubierre appears in Star Trek the tabletop RPG Star Trek Adventures. Since the release of Star Trek the original series, more recent Star Trek spin off series have made closer use of the theory behind the Alcubierre drive. So, Star Trek, modern Star Trek, is using uh, the Alcubierre.
Alcubierre. Yeah. So they didn't even know about it when like Next Generation was happening, right?
Yeah.
Or did they know about it in the 80s? Or are you talking about the original
It,
series?
the article didn't come out till 94.
Okay,
And
so yeah, that would have been the ending of Generations.
you would have had to be really paying attention to notice it back then too, because it
Yeah.
wasn't getting a lot of press.
By the way, has everybody in here seen Star Trek Generations, the first movie?
Oh,
And
dude,
It's
it's
amazing.
so good.
It's
Yeah,
so good when they
so
crash on
good.
the planet and they fucking slide and the fucking saucer just destroys half the planet. Um, they're still in the ribbon.
you know,
Even when Picard kills the guy and Kirk dies, they're still in the ribbon
They're
because
still
they
in the
had to use
ribbon.
the ribbon to get back to that point.
Yep,
Do you remember what I'm talking about?
yeah.
I know 100% what you're
So
talking
I
about.
just
Watch that.
everything after Generations, they're in the ribbon. Everything. At least that crew. I don't know about like anybody else, but at least the Next Generation crew is in the ribbon for like First Contact, Insurrection. I think was the next one, and then they had God. They had two more. I think one more, something like that. What was the newest one that they had? Tom Hardy is the bad guy.
First
Oh,
contact by like canon was like that's when you're dealing with like Zephyr Cockram, and that's
Yeah,
before
yeah, yeah.
those events, right?
I know they're out of the ribbon canonically, but I'm talking about, like, if I'm being a super nerd about it, technically they never left.
yeah, it's the fan thing.
Technically, yeah, it's a fan. Yeah,
Because yeah,
so
the ribbon just sent them back in time to
yeah,
prevent them.
Picard and him chose to go from the ranch with the horses back to the point where they could make a difference for the dude who was about to activate, the device, and they're still in the ribbon. I don't know how you get away from that. But anyway, let's go on. Read about. Yeah, that was our nerd sauce right there.
There's no way we're not going to hit Star Trek every 5 minutes talking about futurism. Sorry.
Say the word. Say the name. Say say the name. Alcuveri. Is that it?
Alcubierre.
Alcuvierre.
Yeah, it's with a B. Alcubierre.
Alcubierre. Okay, Alcubierre Drive. Okay. Okay, got it. So go on. Entertain us.
Should we know the physics behind it? We could go anywhere, or
Fuck
should
it.
I go to another one? Fuck it. Okay. With regard to us, um, with regard to certain specific effects of special relativity, such as Lorentz contraction, Lorentz contraction, which is the phenomenon that a moving object's length is measured to be shorter than the proper length when it's at rest. So, like the more you approach the speed of light, the smaller the object in motion
Mm-hmm.
gets, and the longer the universe gets for the people on the spaceship. And it uses time dilation, which I guess I'll explain that too. That is, if I can do that off my head. Time dilation is like when you're moving really fast, all that space is going to condense, and so for people on board, very little time is going to pass while they're moving through space and time.
Time dilation has a lot to do with gravity, though, right? So
Yeah,
Yes, I was about to say that.
yeah,
So we have the ability to do time dilate. People who have gone to space and exited the gravitational field are affected by gravity differently. So time moves differently. It's not much. It's like a few milliseconds. But if there were more stronger gravitational forces, like at a black hole, then you're
yeah,
going to get super slow down. You're gonna
yeah,
get
yeah.
way slow down. So it's
ex-
interesting though, because if there's time dilation that slows you down going forward, what if there's time dilation in reverse where it accelerates you?
exactly.
Yeah.
That's what a warp drive is, though. The warp drive is that differentiation that's going to maintain your time frame, but allow you to travel faster. Interesting stuff.
It it's almost gonna it's almost like because you're in a bubble.
Exactly.
If I keep reading, it eventually mentions the bubble. The bubble is physics. It might be taken from Star Trek, but it's in the paper now.
Fuck
And
it, read it.
fuck it. All right. I want to get to the part where it
You
mentions
can go to other ones if you want to. If you don't want to stay on that, it's up to you.
survivability inside the bubble. So here, I guess this is a problem, but yeah, my understanding of the bubble is that the crew's not going to be affected by time dilation because they're in kind of a flat space, but it's going to be destroying and creating space around them, and that's going to warp the space around them, and so there might be effects out like around in
What
the
about the law of conservation of mass and energy, where matter can only be
Well,
created and
you
destroyed?
need negative mass. As I think there was a workaround later, but at least in the original article, you needed negative mass to be
Is that
able.
would that be entering subspace? Is that maybe how you would get negative mass? I'm trying to imagine this in my mind.
No,
Uh,
what it would have to be negative mass to your surroundings, right? So it's not like a qualitative net negative mass. So you're not.
so I think the rework got rid of the need for negative mass, but originally negative mass was like a hypothetical substance that there's no proof it is possible. Even
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
negative mass would create some kind of like ultra mini black hole, like quantum
yeah,
black
it's
hole.
anti gravity. It's just
Yeah.
anti gravity.
But that's the thing. It's not necessarily like anti gravity or negative mass in that sense. It's just like taking the system that you're in and making a lower gravitational force. So it's not negative in the sense of gravity in the overall sense of what gravity is. It's just a less amount than this local gravity, and then you have a greater amount on the back end, and that's what propels you.
Okay. So that's within like nominal space, not like a subspace, right?
Exactly.
I don't think there is actually a subspace, although you might be able to call negative mass like that might be
I mean, I'm
metaphorical.
not talking about subspace as like going down in levels on the microcosmic scale, like down to the quantum. I'm talking about like literal layers to space. Like
Yeah,
maybe there are. I'm being a futurist here. I'm not. This is all
yeah,
horse.
it's
Audience, just know I'm spewing forth garbage. It's not actual science. We're just
it's
supposing here. Um,
Star Trek technobabble.
but what if there is multiple layers to space? Not unlike maybe a membrane theory. That's completely different, but um, multiple layers, and we can enter these layers, and we don't have to worry about hitting planets, stars, dust, things like that. Just I've always thought that was my conception of how the warp bubble on Star Trek happened. Even though that I don't know, I'm babbling now.
Well, if that is how it works, we got to be scared of species 8472.
Very scared because those motherfuckers destroyed the Borg.
Yeah, they're already
847 is a
perfect.
rough one. You touch them and you get that disease that like takes over your body. Remember when Kim got it?
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I do
So,
remember that.
what is the next thing? Let's move past the Al-Kubiri.
All
Al-Kubiri?
right. I'm gonna skip the
Say that name one more time, please.
Alcubierre.
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 Yeah.
All right, thank you. Alcubierre warp
And I'm
drive.
pretty yeah, Alcubierre warp drive. I'm pretty sure I'm pronouncing it correctly, although I very well could be wrong.
Let us
And
know in the comments.
yeah, let us know in the comments if
and,
you know.
and that is just a mathematical postulation at this point, right?
All
Uh,
these are suppositions as fuck. Like,
Yeah, it's
so
it's it's really interesting though. Yeah.
my favorite is the O'Neill cylinder, and or it's also called an O'Neill colony, and it's a space settlement. So it's like a place you're gonna live in space, like a space station. And the concept was proposed. Blah 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 blah. I should get to where it is. Design. So I'll just tell you. The basic idea is that you're going to have a cylinder, and so big long cylinder, and the whole thing rotates to create artificial gravity in the cylinder, and you can get like using carbon fiber and stuff. You could get up to like pretty big enough sizes to where you won't have to worry about the artificial gravity feeling weird.
yeah,
You won't be able to feel the
yeah, it's
artificial
gonna have to be
gravity.
some kind of polymer stronger than carbon fiber because it's gonna have to deal with like shearing in
Well,
space and gravity and everything. I mean,
it
I don't
depends
know.
on the size. So if
Yeah,
you're trying to make a continent sized, yeah, we don't have the
yeah, but if you're
materials.
just making like an average space station size, maybe so.
Well,
Maybe so.
I think I've seen stuff that like large like you might be able to get up to large island level of like dirt and water in there. Like you can get quite a large spaceship going.
The,
I've,
the, the, the problem fundamentally is though is like you're dealing with centrifugal force at that point, right? So you're dealing with a body that's being thrown out of the system instead of being sucked into the system, right? So like gravity, the way it works is we are fundamentally always falling towards the star because it has so much gravity. We're constantly falling to it. With a centrifugal system, you're making a spin enough that you have enough of a tangential force that it's always pushing you out of the system, and that's what's weird about it
Mm.
because like in a centrifugal system, like once you get a certain distance away from the outer limit, gravity reduces extremely fast, right? Extremely fast. And it
I have
doesn't.
no idea. I'm trusting you on this one. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I don't. I don't think I know. I quite understand what you mean. Like, you mean if they are let go of, like they'll just kind of want fly
Yes.
out.
So are we
Yeah.
talking about like?
Exactly.
Are we talking
Exactly.
about? Yeah. So that was what you were talking about. So are we talking about like long pole, like cylindric things with the big circling? Like in Gundam.
Yes.
Like in the Japanese anime, where they have the
Exactly.
huge central like things, central masses like circling the center, uh,
Yes.
pipe
That's
shaped fucking
yeah.
cylinder. Yeah.
That's centrifugal force, right? So if you're on the outer edge, you can get to the point where you're at one G, right?
Oh yeah, if you're on the outer, I got you. I got
Yeah,
you now. You'd have
but
to
but
build a
it's
halo. You'd
yeah,
have to build a
Yes,
halo,
Halo. Yeah, from Halo.
yeah,
right,
But a
Scott? You'd have to
cylinder.
build that.
It keeps going though. Instead of making it a ring that just stops for no reason, you keep going. You make it a big long cylinder.
but
Yeah.
but but even that cylinder, you don't have a central like gravitational force at
Yeah.
at the apex of the cylinder, right?
If
But
you were in
you
the
don't really need
center,
it
like
because
if
relativity,
Yeah,
the way relativity works is it's the same thing. You're not going to have the time dilation type effects from,
exactly,
well, you
exactly,
might because you're
But if
moving
you're
through.
in the center of the cylinder and you're not spinning, then you're going to have free gravity. You're just going to be
Yeah.
free fall.
Yeah, you can have
exactly.
zero gravity and approach the edge with zero gravity, but everyone's
But
spinning. So
once you get on the edge,
they're
it's
going
going
to
to.
be rushing by at whatever speed they're going by at, and you're going to have
Exactly.
zero gravity, and you can approach them and like high five people from zero gravity as they fly by, and then you have to go back to the center and like you have to get in something to get you spinning and slowly like get a spinning elevator
Exactly.
to take you back down to the center.
And,
Yeah.
and that's the differentiation between gravity and centrifugal force. Like right now, we have like centrifugal force machines that we can say will uh, come close to gravity, right? And that's what we could use. Where you could have like a spaceship that has a spinning wheel or whatever. That's going to give us an approximation of gravity. It's not gravity though, and that's
I
the
mean, we
problem.
don't fully understand gravity, so
Yeah. Well, man,
we
like
know that weird shit
most
happens at super high speeds.
well, the most we understand about gravity, though, is it's an understanding of displacement of mass, right? As a certain amount of mass displaces a certain amount of space, there's a pull back into that center of mass,
Yes,
right?
so that is pretty much it. Lawrence Krauss told me space space shows matter how okay gravity curves space and space shows matter how to follow the curve.
Exactly. Yeah.
So it's like, and the curve always goes inwards to the largest mass near you. Um,
Exactly.
so when you're in
Exactly.
orbit near enough, if you were to back out to like high Earth orbit and you were to make miscalculations, you would fly out from orbit.
Exactly.
But most satellites and stuff are in near Earth or mid
Yes.
Earth orbit in different
Exactly.
like elliptical shapes and patterns and stuff, so they don't hit each other. They've got all that. I looked this up one time, but they have like nine. They have like close to 10,000 satellites out there. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, and with satellites,
Let's look that up.
they
Maybe I'm
are
wrong.
like their weight is so much that it doesn't constitute the three body problem. So the three body problem in physics is fucking wild. If you have like three bodies that all have the same mass and you throw them around each other, it is completely chaotic. Like
Right.
there's no there like you cannot get past it. There is no
No,
way.
I get it. I get it. It does say 9,900 are in activation right now, so I was
Yeah.
right.
Yep.
10,000. That's a lot. That's a lot of space junk. But the high Earth orbit ones like go super far out, and then the mid Earth orbit does this weird shape, like spherical, elliptical shape.
Yes.
And then the close Earth orbit ones are like directly going around the Earth, as far as I know. Could be
Yeah.
wrong. Correct me
Yeah.
in the comments.
No, the high Earth orbit ones are that's what's called like a Lagrange point. It's a stable point, right, between bodies of mass.
And once you leave that Lagrange point, you are outside of that body of mass, right?
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Exactly.
There you go. This is why I need help with physics. It's not my.
Yeah.
I'm learning more and more all the time. But
Brownies are cool.
yeah, go ahead, Dal. Take us on the journey.
I've been reading about the artificial gravity. I haven't. Wikipedia doesn't have the exact size of the O'Neill cylinder that O'Neill was positing, but it does say that in order for the cylinders to rotate to provide artificial gravity at the radius that O'Neill described, the habitats would have to rotate about 28 times an hour to simulate a standard Earth gravity, an angular velocity of 2.8 degrees per second.
Exactly.
Research on human factors in rotating reference frames indicate that at such low rotation speeds, few people would experience motion sickness due to the Coriolis effects, Coriolis
Correct.
forces,
Yep.
um, which look pretty cool, acting on the inner ear. People would, however, be able to detect spinward and anti-spinward directions by turning their head rapidly, and you could kind of feel which direction
Yep.
the spin was acting on you from.
Yep.
Um, and any dropped items would appear to be like deflected by a little bit. They would kind of fall at an angle,
Correct.
and
Exactly.
that's due as well to the Coriolis effect, which is
Yep.
like because everything is spinning when you drop the thing, it like fall because it's not gravitational and space isn't curving. It won't fall in a
It's
straight line. It'll fall at a weird
exactly.
curve.
It's force based, not gravitational based. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, gravity is a force, but yes, I get what you
Okay,
mean.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
talking about F equals ma force.
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Yes.
I mean, I could go on, but that's all the
I mean, I
artificial
love it.
gravity stuff.
I love it. I mean, this is a nerd show. If our
Yeah,
nerd audience isn't happy, too bad.
this is like
Too
my number
goddamn
one.
bad.
If I could have an O'Neill cylinder with just like whatever few acres, I live on a few acres. I don't care. Give me seven. I'd rather have more than a few, but give me a few. Just send me out on a spaceship. Fuck yeah. I mean, heck yeah.
I've been cursing quite a lot, so I think you're good.
I think YouTube auto censors you now too. So
That's good. I hope I'm bleeped out. That'll be great.
yeah.
But I do think there is the case. So like if we go to like Halo kind of like idea, if there was a Halo that had the same uh, distance from a center point that the Earth has from the star, right, from the sun, you would be there. That would be what you would feel. It'd still be different, but I think that would still be pretty goddamn close. But you'd have to get so large. So I mean, like like I can't imagine building a ship that has the circumference of the radius or the circumference of the Earth around the sun. Right? I mean, that would just be so fucking huge. So if,
Mm-hmm.
I guess if you could have a tube that large, yeah, like it might make sense. But if you only had one of those tubes that's large enough, so like let's even say like 100,000 football fields, that still wouldn't be enough. It still wouldn't be enough, right?
Uh, Maybe for a family, for a little small group. I mean, at least for smaller habitation, it works because you can like attach two capsules with people in them by a string and have them just kind of like be kind
Oh,
of apart, and then they
oh,
can
oh,
rotate around each other,
oh, no,
and
oh,
then
no, no, no. I guess what I'm saying, Dallas, like think about it like this. So you have one of those tubes that's spinning, and that's going to give you centrifugal force. That's going to make artificial gravity. Now, depending on the size of that, however much, like if you jump 10 feet up. with in one of these tubes and one that's drastically smaller, your feeling of gravity would decrease a lot. Now, if that same tube was the same amount as like the circumference of Jupiter around Earth, if you jump 10 feet up, it wouldn't make any difference, right? Dude, like there'd be enough force there that it wouldn't actually impact what's going
Yeah.
on.
And with the one in O'Neill's paper, you're definitely gonna feel it if you jump because you're not gonna land. You're gonna land a few centimeters to the left.
Yep, and that's a problem. Yeah.
That is a problem, but I feel like it's pretty minor. Like if you're not getting sick from it, then like as long as you're not jumping a lot, as long as you're
There's
not
going to
like
be a delay to everything you do. There's going to be you're going to reach for something and like miss it.
Yeah. Oh,
I think as long as you're spinning,
that's oh, dude, that's that's perfect, Tom. It's like imagine throwing an apple to somebody in that situation. That apple
Yeah, it's going to hit him in
would
the face or
be drastically different. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, I think
But it's
everything
yeah,
would just be like behind, even though I know what Dal is saying because it's moving with you and you. So, like, if your feet are firmly planted on the ground, you're as close to the thing as you can get. You know,
Yep.
like I don't know. That's it's. I mean, this is all futurist stuff. So I looked up. Dal, do you have some more?
I mean, we if you want more, if you want,
Well, I
I
mean, I
mean, this
looked
is
up
one I
some
love.
myself.
This is one
So
of my favorites. Like
those are your
O'Neill,
favorites.
yeah, O'Neill cylinder is one of my favorite sci-fi concepts. So like,
I mean, if you
I
want to
mean,
keep going, go for it.
the rest would just be like using because you can fly all around the solar system. Use mirrors to bring the sun to you wherever you're at, so you can keep having sunlight and all the things. What attitude control just means you have to aim at the sun. That's it, really. There's some atmosphere stuff in here. It
Yeah.
doesn't look like you would have a full atmosphere. You wouldn't be at sea level pressures. You'd be at like mountain, like up in the mountains level pressures, 20-30% of Earth pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Problems breathing, most likely.
Yeah. So this is where I get into like ring world stuff. You guys know ring world?
yeah, yeah, that's the Halo from Halo.
The halo, exactly, and it's large enough to like maintain the actual environment.
Yep, it is pretty big
Fucking
in the video
huge.
game,
Yeah.
anyway.
Yeah, Halo from Halo is going to be almost impossible. You're going to need
Yeah.
either some future tech or you have to build it where it's spinning at the right speed, where it counteracts the gravity, but then
Yeah.
you might not have enough to like
But,
you'd have to
but
balance it kind of.
when the amount of material that would be required to like build a halo is more material than all of our solar system.
It's very true.
Yeah, but by a long shot.
Excellent. I looked up some futuristic technologies too, but keep going, Dal. I mean, I'm not going to stop you.
Yeah, I'd
We can.
appreciate it.
I mean, we could talk about the well. I mean, there's a lot. It just keeps going.
So I'll throw some out
We could
there.
do yeah, do one, and we can. I'll find a different one.
Well, obviously AGI, right? That's a futurist topic because we don't know if it's possible. Artificial general intelligence. We were talking about this before we were on live. Um, we don't know if it's possible. We mentioned earlier that you could have, let's say we're 2,000 years in the future. Like I told this to Scott and Delsu just a moment ago. Um, Imagine we're 2,000 years in the future, 10,000, just go crazy, doesn't matter. And we can create, or we can help to create, or however you want to look, create, however you want to say that. We could make something that is human in every possible way: skin, neuroplasticity in the brain, all this kind of stuff. It could tell us it was thinking about its own thoughts. It could tell us that it was conscious and self-aware. It could give us all these indicators that it was human, but it might just all be a bunch of extraordinarily complex programming suites. It might not actually be conscious. So when would we actually know if we got to artificial general intelligence? That's a problem. So futurists, speculate on this thing a lot. Even some people in the field, like Roman Yampolsky and a lot of others that I've talked to, some think that AGI is going to happen, and some think it's never going to happen. So I don't know where I stand. I'm pretty hopeful. I hope we can do it.
Yeah. I
What do you
mean,
think?
uh, it's something that our mutual friend Tree will bring up to me whenever I start talking about AGI is like, what is AGI, and what is it that AGI? Because the AI we have now doesn't. It's like not socially. I think what it's missing is that it's like not socially aware of its circumstance, if that makes sense. Like
Well,
it's kind of,
It's not aware of its own existence, as far as we can
yeah,
tell.
it doesn't have like actual introspection, but we have built certain AIs that can like think about themselves. Like there's little learning robots out there that will it'll be like a Furby looking thing
Well, the
that'll be like,
problem
this is
is,
red, this is blue.
even if we got to the point of like nanomachines, that would still technically be weak AI unless it was like ultra advanced or something. But like weak AI is made to do specific types of jobs, like LLMs or combinations of systems of weak AI. Search engine in Google is a system of weak AI. There's a bunch of weak AIs doing shit all over the world, and I don't know if the plurality of those will eventually form AGI. Does that make sense?
Mm. Yeah, yeah. I almost think like AGI is going to have to be a plural, because I think what we have going on is a plurality of different
Oh
uh,
yeah.
biological things competing
Yes.
and to over like attention over what we're
Brain
doing.
waves just slamming around in there. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I tend to think that you're going to have a learning AI that's going to learn new problems. You're going to have a common sense AI that's going to try to like take,
Translate. Yeah.
translate stuff. Yeah.
It's crazy. Um,
A,
Scott, did you
a,
want to say anything on that?
a fear AI, an AI that just responds to like things that it's afraid of, right? So like
And
the
amygdala.
amygdala, yeah, the amygdala, if you will. Yep.
Yeah. The
Medulla oblongata.
medulla oblongata, the brainstem, right? Isn't that the brainstem?
I think so.
Hmm.
I think it's
Or
like
it's a
the
part of the brainstem because there's the pons, the medulla oblongata, and something else. I can't remember. But it's
yeah.
like the reptilian part, the part
Hmm.
that first evolved in our.
Yeah, the amygdala is like the
Yeah, it's
base.
early. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's early in our history.
Yep.
Um, in the evolution of the brain. So we talked about AGI. Let's talk about quantum computing. Right now, no real practical application. Yes, no.
Uh,
Ooh.
maybe, maybe the right now.
Yeah,
So, I mean, maths.
IBM has one the size of a car, and it has to be cooled to almost, like negative 170 Kelvin or so. It's some fucking extremely cold temperature
They've
that it has
solved
to be cooled to.
some math problems with it, right?
Yeah, the difference with quantum computing I hear is that it can do multi-thread processing, like what so much faster than supercomputers. Technically, it could help us map out the how genes move about. Like it can map out active systems a lot better than a
Well,
supercomputer could. You know what I mean?
what do you think quantum computing also comes down to functions of computers using quantum mechanics, right? So like
Yeah,
touchscreens use quantum mechanics. That's
yeah.
how
They
they.
use quantum tunneling.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So it's already being used in a
right.
certain
People
sense.
who deny quantum mechanics are silly people to me.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand it's not perfect and we only know about it mathematically, but we're using those mathematics to make predictions. I mean, there's a reason why we can have, the reasons why satellites don't hit each other is because we can take into effect special relativity and quantum mechanics, and it gives us these indeterminacies of areas where they might hit each other or something. Like there's GPS has to do it does
Yes. Yep.
entanglement or something a superposition or entanglement, something having to do with that.
Yep.
Um, is how it sends the signal, or I can't remember. I read this a long time ago in like Scientific American. Don't make me pull up the article. I'm trying not to pull up any articles. I'm just using ChatGPT to ask questions, um, which I think everyone would have fun doing, talking to ChatGPT. We're gonna talk to ChatGPT. You know what I'm saying?
I came here and I saw ChatGPT and I said, like, how great is ChatGPT?
I came in here, I looked around, I saw ChatGPT, and I was like, folks, I understand. I was like, look, hey, listen. I was like, ChatGPT, tears pouring down his face. He says, "Sir,
Sir.
sir, sir, I love you, Chat." I don't know. Who cares? So, let's see. We got quantum
What
computing.
what are going to be the big changes from AGI? Like who writing a book? Isn't everyone upset because their book writing abilities were stolen by ChatGPT?
Uh, it's gonna synergize, like we talked about earlier.
Yeah, we did talk about it
ChatGPT is
before the
just going
show.
to be another tool. It's like we talked, like I said this earlier. Just because the abacus was invented didn't mean that we forgot how to count on our fingers. Dal has forgotten. Where's your abacus, Dal?
Fuck. Um,
So quantum computing, definitely interesting, definitely something that's real, definitely going to be helpful in the future, I think. And anyone saying, well, quantum computers can't get any smaller, in 1948, the leader of IBM, I guess the CEO or whatever they called him back then, he said, one day we might have computers that are less than a ton.
Mhm.
And,
yeah.
so nobody knows what the future holds.
our brain
Obviously, what's that?
our brain is like on the level of supercomputer. Like it's like 22 petaflops of information or
It
something. Like
is. No,
it's
well,
a
I think we can hold. Let's see. Let me look on Google. Make sure that I'm right in this. We have 86 billion neurons. What is the storage of the human brain?
22 petaflops. 22 petaflops.
2.5 petabytes.
Ah, it was peta something. It was close.
Mm-hmm. 1 million gigabytes. That's a lot.
Yeah. Like point is this up here runs off the same amount of electricity that like a 5-watt light bulb runs off of. So
Mm.
it's like if we did the matrix thing and used all the computer power in our brains and hooked them up like a supercomputer just in a linear fashion, we'd have more computing power easy than all the supercomputers combined if we get enough people lined up in a row. So
Yeah.
it's like we could definitely build better computers, I think, and this might use quantum computing with the whole.
Once neural networks get better, I think your vision will become reality.
Have you guys
I
seen
hope not.
biological computers? The work that they're doing on biological computers right now,
I've looked
ground,
at it, but I don't know.
groundbreaking fucking
Yeah,
shit. It's fucking bonkers, dude.
Biological computing,
bioengineering,
yeah.
It's
bioengineering
bonkers.
in general is just like
Hmm. Yep.
because you have self-healing materials, self-building materials, materials with their own intentions and
What about
purposes.
nanomachines?
Nanomachine. Yeah, I have gray goo up here too because I want to get to the gray goo thing.
I want to talk about nanomachines, but go for the gray goo.
Well, it's nanomachines. Great. Like if you know the like nanomachines or like tiny nanobots self-replicating, so they could make a bunch more nanobots. Um, the like first thing that you come to is like, what if they don't stop? Runaway nanobot deconstruction of everything, where the planet is just decomposed into nothing but nanites.
Yeah, so that's basically the story of Horizon, the video game on PlayStation.
Nice. I have not played it.
Yep.
I do not know him.
That's just
But
the
yeah,
backstory. I haven't ruined any part of the game.
nice. Yeah,
It,
that
they basically let loose a plague of self-replicating robots that use biofuel, like so they they consume bioelectric fuel. So I guess they eat people. I don't know what that means, but anyway,
yeah.
they integrated into the wild. You know what I mean? And they became like animals and shit. It's a very interesting video game. But yeah, uh, basically
Oh,
these
Zero Dawn. Right. I do
yeah
know
these
that.
nanomachines like broke down everything, all biology on the earth, and it just became barren with these robots running, these artificial intelligences running around. The problem is that they weren't hackable. They were made to be unhackable, so nobody could stop them. They were made to be
Yeah.
like infinite encryption kind of thing.
Dude, this is going to lead me to a sci-fi show. I don't know if you guys have watched it. Stargate.
Oh yeah, dude, I've seen every episode of Stargate. God, I love that show.
Do you remember the one with the mechanical machines like went to like
Yes, the replicators.
the replicas?
Mechanical machines.
Mhm.
The replicators weren't as small as nanomachines, though.
Well,
Nanomachines are completely cell size.
those replicators ended up getting sucked into like a black hole, and because
Oh
they were
yeah, that's right. The
well,
replicators did turn into like a planet. Remember that in
yeah,
Atlantis?
exactly, because they were sucked in the black hole. They had so much time to advance. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
yeah.
brilliant,
That's
dude,
crazy.
brilliant.
I love Stargate. It's a great show.
yeah.
There's a lot of cool art, science fiction in there. There's no magic or woo woo. There's just a lot of advanced technology. It's really cool, and it's
The
funny as fuck actually.
the Ori, they're a little magicy.
The Ori are, but it's just because they've. I mean, it's just like in Star Trek when that light being ascended. That
Mhm.
guy who basically was becoming a light being. They didn't know what he was, but then he was like ascended. Basically, I mean, that's basically what the Ori are.
Yeah.
To me,
It's also well, the Ori are more like religious, and the ancients were more scientific. I think that was the big problem between the two.
to me, the Ori were just some shitbags trying to like fucking control people.
Yeah, they were
But,
shitbags
but
with almost omnipotent powers.
yeah, exactly. Yep.
Yeah,
I have not seen a lot of Stargate, but I have seen a little bit.
yeah.
But I do love
Anyway,
it. I do
yeah.
love it. Stargate Atlantis. Mm,
Yeah.
Oh
it's
yeah,
good.
I wish they'd have made that like 10 seasons long. It's too good.
Yeah,
Great
it
show.
was really good.
Dude, the
Great show.
Stargate universe, the best one of them all.
I
Come
have
on,
not seen it.
I haven't seen Universe.
it's so fucking good, dude. It's so fucking good.
I'll have to give it a try.
Too bad. Too bad it was like 2 seasons.
No, I know it's only 2 seasons.
That's the problem. I don't want to get involved in shows that are only like 2 seasons long because I'm like, ah.
I haven't
Dude,
watched
uh,
Firefly because of that.
dude,
Yeah,
but
Firefly's like 12 episodes long or some shit.
the ideas of fucking universe were just like so much more deep than any other fucking Stargate season. It's fucking awesome. It's awesome.
I believe you. I believe you. Got any more,
Ah,
Dal?
yeah, I wanted to like. There's a ton in the nanite department, and my personal favorite. So I'm gonna explain this with. Before I had ever smoked weed, I was aware that you can get really high and then have something like mind blow you, and it's like a transcendental experience where you're just mind blown by this thing. And I had never experienced that because I had never smoked weed or thought about anything while I was high. And like I'd probably been smoking for a few years. I had my first ever like, whoa, what? And it was about nanites, and it was about this idea of utility fog, which is basically the idea that you permeate the environment with nanites, and you know that you can control. So if you want something, you can basically say nanites create a coffee mug, and you hold out your hand, and then they over time, however long it takes, they'll create a they'll bring the ceramic to you and build a coffee cup. Um, and so you could build a castle just by asking the world for a castle, and you don't need food because the nanites can they can create protein from the atoms in the environment, and like just put them in you through your bloodstream, carry them one by one. You don't need to eat. You don't need it anything you want is just there to command. You can talk,
Mm.
like if you have like them build technology. I can imagine them building the internet.
A global nanite swarm, basically.
Yeah, global nanite swarm. If you want to Google it, utility fog or foglets is another name for them.
So that's interesting because to me, like I saw like a Star Trek replicator as that same thing. You just
You
have
mean
to like say it.
Stargate?
Stargate, you mean? Yeah.
No, Star Trek replicator. Star Trek replicator.
Oh yeah, yeah, the
Ooh, yeah,
replicator.
like yeah.
The
Yeah,
replicator, yeah, yeah.
you can go and say I want a glass of water. It's going to be able
That
to
thing just uses quantum mechanics to just form it out of thin air.
exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, where it's like the nanites could build a rep. So my understanding with nanites is the problem comes in with is it thermodynamics, like entropy. The work creates heat that would melt the nanites, so you can't work too fast, or you would destroy the whatever you're trying to make, and the robot's trying to make it.
Unless the nanites can handle the heat.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then can your coffee cup that you want, or can you, like, if you're standing on the planet when you order it to build a castle in 30 seconds out of nothing, can those nanites just do all that without
Yeah.
generating a ton of excess heat?
Probably not.
What if they use that heat within the building of the within the generation of the atoms, right? So
If they're hyper
well,
efficient,
What size are they?
extremely.
Are we talking about cell sized or are we talking about atom sized?
I would think you'd have to talk about cell size because I don't see how you build something as small as an atom
I
unless
don't
it's
either.
not made out of atoms. Yeah, make it out of gluons.
Yeah, yeah,
Just,
yeah. Glue balls.
I mean,
yeah,
maybe.
but glue balls are so fucking small. Like glue balls are like subatomic.
Yeah, they're smart. Them and quarks make up protons, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you had
Yeah.
nanites of that size, then like, what are you doing? And then
I
this is
don't know. I just thought it was weird to think. You're right. How could you create one atomic size because that nanite would be made of
well, I
atoms?
mean,
Uh,
this is futurism, so it's like if you could, that would be crazy. Whatever. I don't even know what we
well, the
could do.
nanite would have to be made of something other than atoms, and I don't know what that would mean.
It'd have to be gluons or something.
Yeah. Somehow we
Electric.
make a nanite that's the size of a quark. I don't know. I have no
Um,
idea. It's. I mean, in theory, we're thinking mechanically, but what if it's like this moving, living silicon kind of thing? I don't know. I have no idea. But nanomachines, nanites, utility fogs, nanite swarms, however you want to call it. Some people call them nano colonies, like a person built out of nanomachines. You
yeah,
know.
which this is when we should go back to biotech and just be like, what if we just take control of the living nanites that we're already made out of? So instead of
Yeah. Exactly.
designing robots, we just engineer a life form to build us a coffee cup on command
Hmm.
or whatever.
Do as I command.
Yeah, and then it gets silly. Like then you can have ideas like imagine you engineered a life form that's like a plant. It's like a seed. You plant it in the ground and it grows a big flower that builds up a ton of pressure and like creates a doorway in it. And you open the door and it's a little spaceship with a little pod, and then that pressure bursts and it launches you into space. It's like a little we create. You could do anything. You could do anything. We could let's live Naruto. Let's live out Naruto on
Yeah, I
planet.
would.
That's
I wouldn't want my parents to be dead. You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
I don't want to live
yeah.
out that part of Naruto. But I would like to live in that universe. Uh, that would be fun. It'd be really cool. Also, be really dangerous because there's a bunch of badass motherfuckers.
But I mean, is it dangerous? I mean, it's dangerous, but then there's going to be a jutsu where someone can bring you back to life.
It's all
The
going to be nano
nanites.
machines, though. It'll
Yeah.
just be nano jutsus.
So
Kage Bunshin no nano jutsu.
The fuck is a jutsu? I don't know what you
Jutsu a jutsu
I,
is like, well, in the realm of Naruto, it's like doing something with your, oh, what is it? Let's just
I
look
don't
up
know. I
jutsu.
don't know
Let's look up
anything about
jutsu.
Naruto.
It's
I'll tell you that right now.
Japanese magic, Japanese karate magic.
Japanese karate magic.
Okay, but I know the anime. I've just never watched it. So
Oh, it means technique or method or trick or skill. That's what jutsu means. So a skill, basically.
it's a skill.
It's a skill, yes. Okay, so we go to blah 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 blah. Let me look at ChatGPT again because I love it. Uh,
So
let's see.
futurism.
So,
What about
what's that, Scott?
what about the singularity? So if we're talking
Yeah,
about
we can talk about the singularity. Go for it.
yeah. So the idea of this is singularity is once artificial intelligence is to the equal amount of human intelligence. That's what's known as the singularity, right?
Yeah,
As
it's
opposed to
when technology will increase so much and so fast that we won't be able to keep up with it.
yeah,
Some people like Ben Goertzel, a computer scientist working on this, think it's going to happen by like 2050, which I
yeah,
very much doubt.
oh yeah,
But I
yeah.
could be wrong. I could
I,
be
I,
wrong.
I doubt that as well. Like I think I feel like it's the same thing as like these like Christian preachers who say like, oh no, the end of the world is coming fucking in 2023. No, no,
They've been
oh
predicting the end.
yeah, it didn't
They've been
happen.
predicting the end of the world.
Exactly.
Sorry. Yeah, they've been predicting the end of the world forever.
Exactly. So like when it doesn't happen, it always just gets pushed out further and further.
Yeah. Oh no, it's going to be 1988. Oh no, wait, it's going to be 1992. Oh wait, it's going to be the year 2000.
Exactly.
Never happens.
2012 was the big one. People were fucking losing their
Pretty
minds.
sure that they just got their fucking math wrong.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude, I remember fucking Y2K and like how like freaked out people were over that shit.
Yeah,
So fucking
let's
stupid.
I mean these.
let's change the subject real quick to this. What about a pleasure matrix? What if we get to a point with artificial intelligence that it can do everything we need to do, and we just get inside a pleasure matrix?
So
Yeah,
it's
I
just
mean,
like blowjobs and hand jobs all
I
is
day.
mean,
that
whatever, you're in the matrix, you can do whatever you want.
is
Yeah.
the pleasure
You
matrix like
you went
moral?
in. By the way, it's not mandatory. You went in willingly. It's not like the actual movie, The Matrix.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you could summon like 16 Chris Hemsworths to get dirty with. Is
I
that
would.
ethic?
I would
Is it?
absolutely
Yeah,
do
but
that.
is it ethical to use Chris Hemsworth's likeness to
In
get
my
down?
fantasy of the Matrix, yes, because I will allow him to use 15 of me if he wants to, which he wouldn't. He wouldn't want to, but if he did, he could use 15 of me in his fantasy world. That's fine with me.
Well, I guess it's
Yeah,
equality.
yeah. I don't know if would I choose to go into the pleasure machine? Probably, because I have bipolar. So if they could somehow solve that for me, boy, I'd be
Yeah,
real
it's
happy with that.
we're back in the rainbow ribbon now.
Yeah, we're back to the rainbow ribbon. Do you want to be in the ribbon? Yes, please.
I would be afraid to enter because of the rainbow ribbon, because of or that movie of Star Trek. Because how do you know if you've left? If it can give
Yeah,
you everything,
you would never know if you left or not.
Yeah.
yeah, you ask it to leave and it lets you, but doesn't.
Is you still in it? I
And
don't
then
know.
even if it does let me out, I'm gonna be like schizophrenic now because I don't know what the. Depends on how real it is, I guess. And if it's not real, then it's not a perfect pleasure machine. If it doesn't feel perfectly real.
Dude,
Yeah, this I'm assuming
if the
extreme
ribbon,
technology here. I'm
yeah,
assuming like really extreme technology, like
Yeah,
way in
I
the
become
future,
afraid of the pleasure machine.
where AI is like,
if the ribbon is completely real though, like you're fucking good. You're solid. You're just gonna
I would love to be in the ribbon. Why not? You're fucking.
Like
whatever
that's
life
like
you
that.
want.
That would be the thing. It'd have to be like completely real. Like there would be no ifs, ands, or buts. Any idea that you had, like, okay, I don't want this anymore, and now you can have this, and like it would be totally real. Yeah,
Remember, it took Picard the first time to a place where he was at Christmas with his family. You
I
remember
know.
that? And
Till
then it took
when
him, and they just
yeah,
never left. They just never left.
yeah. What it took Kirk to his fucking horse farm, right? And
Yeah, I
he
know.
was
Yeah,
like, yeah,
yeah, it's crazy. But no, I mean the pleasure matrix. Some people would choose to stay out and just live a normal life, but other people would choose to go in and let AI do most of the work. I don't know if it would be. I mean, I hope that we wouldn't be made to go in mandatorily, but
I wouldn't think so.
who knows? I'm just
I
making
think
shit up right now.
if something like that comes about, I think it's going to be the a sort of afterlife because, like, I can imagine if we have the technology to increase our lifespan, and the only thing that people die from is accidents or just not wanting to live anymore. Why wouldn't you have like a place to move to? You can move your
The
consciousness to the
the
Rainbow River.
Forerunner in Halo, they did that. They created a digital afterlife where they existed in like the internet of the Milky Way. There was some kind of internet, natural internet that they're a part of now digitally. It's really cool. I mean, like, yeah, we could digitize an afterlife, but in the pleasure matrix, I'm not necessarily talking about an afterlife. I'm just talking about my human body going into
yeah,
a pleasure matrix. That's it.
I think
So
for me, I get afraid of the pleasure matrix because I won't know if I come out, and I think you're kind of right though, Scott, that it doesn't matter if it's real enough. It's like, why would I care?
yeah,
And I do think I'm being a little inconsistent because I would have said with the AI conversation we were having that I don't think it matters if the AI is a philosophical zombie at a certain point, because if it displays suffering, I think that's enough. We don't need to ask, is it really suffering? We can just stop doing that thing.
yeah,
So there is like a part of me that's pro pleasure world, but
yeah,
I'm very afraid of it at the same time.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, it might destroy morality. I guess I don't know. I doubt it, but
I think the biggest like bulk to that though is like this notion of understanding what's really going on versus some sort of like artificial system that's placating me, right? So people want to understand what's really going on as opposed to being in an artificial system that placates your wants and needs.
I don't think that like children should be put in there. But like if a fully grown 21-year-old adult wants to be put in there, they should be allowed to.
How about we do the opposite? What if the instead of a pleasure machine, it's an experience machine, and we put children in there, and they live out their whole lives till they're adults, and then they wake up and they're still like 5 or 6 or whatever,
It's,
and so you have like super intelligent adult level children who have the experience of an adult.
yeah, so Dal, this is where I go. This is where I go. I think this is like a good idea for like a sci-fi story. So at the age of 18, everybody goes into the Roy machine from Rick
Yeah,
and Morty, right? And you just live out things over and over until it's like, oh, are you fucking good or are you not good? Are you a piece of shit or are you not a piece of shit? And people who aren't pieces of shit come out the other side. People who are, you know, maybe they don't come out the other side. Like people
mm,
who are naturally like sociopathic aren't going to be able to like get out of that conundrum.
yeah. I was thinking of it as like oh man, I forgot the Naruto name for it. It's not the Infinite Tsukuyomi. It's one of those crazy eye abilities that's like rewrites. It's like catches you in a loop.
Oh yeah, Izanagi.
Yeah, Izanagi. So I was thinking of it like Izanagi, where it's like you make the person experience multiple lives, kind of Buddha style, or reincarnation style until they're a good person. So they kind of keep redoing it until they figure it out, and then they're allowed into hyper advanced nanite Dyson sphere shell world where you can do that.
Yes, but there certainly would be some people who are just like genetically predispositioned to being like a sociopath, and they wouldn't make it out of that prospect, right?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if people are so sociopaths are made, psychopaths
Yes,
are
Oh,
born.
okay.
correct.
Yes, so I
But
should have said psychopath then.
yeah, also psychopaths can lead normal, healthy lives as good fathers and contribute to society. So it's like
They can, yeah.
I don't even think psychopaths are necessarily
Oh,
treatable.
oh, that's interesting. So it'd be like more along the lines of like you going through all these experiences to like teach you to like behave the correct way based on your certain genetic predispositions.
Yeah,
That's fucking awesome. That's awesome.
yeah,
I like that. I like that a lot.
yeah. I mean, it's kind of a Buddhism thing. It's the Buddhists that believe in reincarnation. They think the bodhisattvas would be like the awakened people in the real world who are
Hmm.
like using their realm. Every one of these people has their own realm, and you
Oh,
go to their realm to try to learn the lessons there. And not all the realms are as good at teaching as others, and that was part of it that I remember reading. I don't know. We're getting off track when I start going
It's
off. That.
okay. It's okay.
yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
I don't think it's actually that far off track. I think it's pretty on track. I'm not
We're
gonna lie.
talking about futurology, which is
Yeah.
basically just science nonsense right now. I mean, there's no reason to even be academic here because who knows the fucking future? Somebody tomorrow,
Exactly.
Sean Carroll could solve one of the millennial math problems and science changes. So
Yeah.
I
Exactly.
don't know. I don't know the future, but it's
Yeah.
fun to suppose these things. It's fun to think about these things and have the thought experiments. And, we could bring up, we've been talking about positive things that can happen in the future, but there are, of course, bad things that can happen too. But I like to stick to the positive because, I mean, yeah, we could be invaded by aliens. We could slip the fucking Earth into a wormhole. I mean, who knows what we could fucking do.
Get turned into paper clips by a
Get turned
paperclip
into paper
accident.
clips. Yeah. Uh,
Nanites.
yeah, I don't know. We don't know the future, so the futurologists like to say all this stuff, but there's no way to experiment on it, so we can't get there yet.
Exactly. Exactly.
But it's still fun. So guys, we're coming up to the hour and 10 minute mark. I hope our audience has enjoyed this. Does anybody want to talk about anything else before we start winding down?
I would say to the notion of futurology, though, like you can look at people like God, who's the writer who wrote
Jules Verne.
Jules Verne? Yes, you knew exactly what I was talking about.
Yes,
Jules Verne, yeah, and like he postulated things in like this futuristic notion.
he is mentioned as one of the first futurologists. Yes.
Exactly.
H.G.
And,
Wells, Jules Verne, and Aldous Huxley.
yep,
Mhm.
and we made spacecraft. We made submarines. It's fucking awesome.
Mm-hmm. Oh
Yeah,
yeah, it is
fucking
cool.
Jules Verne was a badass man.
Cool stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I could read more about what futurology is, but there's a very small page on it on Wikipedia. If you guys want to go look it up, it's called Futurist, and then you'll have to go to the disambiguation part and go to the one that's specifically about future studies. Um, we've talked about the past futurists and the emergence of the term. There are some modern futurists, but I'm not going to name all of them. And then futurology itself just has kind of like a list of uh, they in 2001 they surveyed 108 futurists and they shared certain assumptions like we are in the midst of a historical transformation.
Yeah.
There's going to be futurists do not see themselves as value-free forecasters, but instead aware of multiple possibilities. Futurists are motivated by change. They are not content. content to merely describe or forecast. They desire an active role in the world transformation, and they're seeking the singularity. I mean, a lot of these futurists are saying, let's get to the singularity when we can't even really
Exactly.
control how fast
Yeah.
the technology increases.
Without even an understanding of what the singularity is, too.
Yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly.
Yep.
So we pretty much covered everything. I guess we could mention really quick CRISPR, but CRISPR's a real thing, and it's actually going to make serious strides, I
Dude,
think, in
Paul's
gene editing.
Maybe we can use CRISPR to get control of our nanites.
Maybe
Whatever.
we're already infested with nanites. We've been in the goo all along.
Been in the do.
We've been
I
in the
might want to
fog.
mention if you are interested in futurism, you might want to look into the YouTube channel Isaac Arthur. He's a YouTuber, futurist, educator guy. He's president of the National Space Society, a whole bunch of things, does a bunch of stuff. But that guy has some of the best futurism videos I've ever seen on any topic. He'll go multiple hour deep dive onto shell worlds, worlds with multiple shells or Dyson
What's his
spheres.
name? What's his name again?
Isaac Arthur. So he takes his name from Isaac Asimov and
Arthur. Yeah.
Arthur so and so, whoever that is. But
It's God. Why am I forgetting the name?
Isaac Arthur.
yeah, Isaac Arthur is the name on YouTube.
Okay.
He
So,
does
but
engineering content. He'll talk about like how to engineer cities or superstructures. He had this one episode about like putting all of humanity in one building, what that would look like, and how we might design that building.
yeah, it's Arthur C. Clarke. That's
Arthur C. Clarke,
Yep.
yeah, and Isaac Asimov.
Yep.
So there, Isaac
Dude,
Isaac Asmar. Is that it again?
dude, Arthur C. Clarke, Childhood's End is like one of the best fucking sci-fis you could ever fucking read. It's brilliant,
If you're looking
brilliant.
for the YouTuber, it's Isaac Arthur.
Isaac
Yeah.
Arthur. Okay, I keep on fucking it up.
We kept saying all the different sci-fi names.
Yeah, that's what was
You
funny.
know.
Dude,
So,
one thing,
uh,
Isaac Asimov, his books are just fucking amazing.
yeah.
Yeah, he has a lot of them too, and they're all really
Dude,
good.
dude,
And
he's fucking so good, dude. Like, I
and
mean, he
Arthur
like
C. Clarke,
Foundation, iRobot, fucking
yeah,
oh
Foundation. That's it. That's his.
yeah,
Yeah,
Foundation is like his like opus.
yeah.
So, there are other things in futurology. I'm just read off a quick few. Um, Obviously, the pleasure machine or immersive virtual reality. Um, we talked about quantum computing and space colonization a little bit. We didn't talk about like colonizing Mars yet or anything. I don't think we're there, but space. Maybe these cylindrical, whatever the hell tubes that he called them earlier. I don't remember the name, but what was the name again, Dal, of those tubes?
Uh, the Isaac Arthur.
Yeah, there you go. So there's also genetic engineering, CRISPR. Then there's climate engineering, also known as geoengineering, that involves large scale interventions in the Earth's climate system to combat climate change. Techniques such as carbon capture and storage and solar radiation management are being explored to mitigate global warming. There's another, Scott, you may have heard of this one. It's called IoT, Internet of Things. It
Yeah,
refers to the
yeah,
internet.
yeah. I work in IoT. Yep.
Yeah. Well, IoT is called the Internet of Things. It's a
Yes.
futurist idea, and it
Yeah.
refers to the internet, the interconnection of everyday objects via the internet, allowing them to send and receive
Yeah,
data.
that's not a futuristic idea anymore. Like we have IoT in IT now, right? This is a thing that is like a known quantity that we deal with in the IT realm. IoT.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like what I'm reading here, and what I'm gathering from the information that I'm reading, when it says an interconnection of everyday objects via the internet, allowing them to send and receive data, the concept promises smarter cities, efficient resource management, and enhanced automation in homes and industries. What I get from that is that it's saying everyday objects like toaster ovens and shit would be able to
Yes.
be connected to the internet.
To
Um,
like also like Internet of Things concerns like access control systems of like walking into a building when you need a
mhm.
badge, and you're like the people's cell phones when they need to connect to your like internal Wi-Fi. Like these are the Internet of Things that I deal with on a daily basis.
Mhm.
So like that idea is already actually in place. Internet of Things is in place right now.
Okay. What everyday objects can connect to the internet minus like a cord or Wi-Fi? Is there any?
So at the new office, we got a bunch of like new refrigerators, and all those refrigerators show up online on our Wi-Fi as Samsung fridge number one, or like
No, I
Samsung
understand that.
fridge.
I was just saying, like, is there an interconnection of everyday objects? It says via the internet. Okay.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
sure, yeah, yeah,
yeah,
it says that.
yeah.
Um,
So just a matter of like connecting those things to make like a coherent network once they're
Yeah,
going.
in the lighting I do, we actually do a lot of that too because the lamps, the bulbs that we put into lights will
Yep.
actually have a sort of interconnected network where
Hmm.
if you change the color of one, it'll send out a signal to change color, and any lights nearby, it's not really an internet, but it's kind of its own network where they all like communicate with each other, and so it spreads
Exactly.
throughout the yard.
Yeah,
Interesting.
it's a network of hardware, right? Yeah, like
Yeah.
that's yeah. IoT is like IoT is already taking hold, Thomas. Like that is a thing that
Oh,
is
I believe you. I wasn't
yeah,
arguing at all. I just was trying to reconcile what I was reading, and then I understood it says via the internet. So I'm assuming it's talking
yeah,
about through Wi-Fi. I
yeah,
thought for some reason it was talking about everyday objects like
Yeah.
rocks
Yeah, Scott, we
or
are. I think this list is of stuff we're doing now because it was talking about CRISPR
yep,
and like
yep.
Mhm.
a lot of that stuff. So it's like
Yeah,
cutting
I
edge
just
tech.
got confused with what I was reading, and then I'm not confused anymore. I thought it was talking about things like rocks or
Yeah,
trees. I mean, it just said everyday objects, so I didn't have any context
yeah,
for that.
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
Um,
No, no, I think of like when it says everyday objects, it's like talking about like a toaster oven.
no, I
Like,
understand now,
yeah,
brother.
yeah,
I
yeah,
understand now. I got it.
yeah.
I was just saying.
Yeah, I just find it funny, like at work, like my toaster oven that like I have at work, I can connect my phone to and be like, I'm putting a piece of toast in here. Like, how long does it need to cook for? It's fucking interesting stuff.
gonna get a
Mhm.
notification that your toast is done.
I 100% do. It says it's like I put a piece of toast in, like I'm putting toast in, and like a ding, I get a fucking ring on my phone, and my toast is done. And it's like I go over there and get my toast out.
All right, I'm on Perry's team. We're losing something. Which sides? Can't have Wi-Fi toast. The hell? Putting 5G in my toast. I'm gonna get COVID. That's not Perry.
Dude, you know what's so
Five
funny
G.
is like no, nobody talks about 5G conspiracy shit anymore. Like that shit came and went, right? Do you remember like maybe like 4 or 5 years ago when people were talking about 5G? It's the government trying to control you and all this kind of shit. Like
Yeah,
now,
we talked about it on our conspiracy show.
yeah,
Yeah, aren't these conspiracy theories kind of like futurism? They're just like really negative, and everyone's
It's more or less thinking that there is evildoers or a group of evildoers attempting to fuck over humanity. That's more or less conspiracy theories.
yeah, yeah. There needs to be a conspiracy. I guess
There's
sometimes
some kind of
conspiracy.
telos. There's some kind of telos of evil because For conspiracy theorists, it's all about the battle between the good, which is the people who are in the know, and the bad, the people who are at the top.
But I do
Whatever
love
their
how these groups
self
always
is.
come down to like, well, it's the scientists that are bad, but like the CEOs and these guys are the good guys.
Yeah, that always.
We had a lot of good things to say on the conspiracy show. We talked a lot about it.
Dude,
Yeah,
it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
Yep,
I think
conspiracy
I
theories
think the
are
thing.
easy to fall into for people who aren't. I'm sorry, Dell.
No, you're right. It is easy for people to fall into.
It is, but the problematic thing is that people have to realize that their minds and their imagination can create anything they want to, and that's why we need science to pull us out of that ether of ideas to where we can actually do things in the real world.
Exactly. Like
Yeah,
I don't know if you guys heard that 1 times 1 equals 2. I mean
Hmm.
it's a pretty potent argument.
well, they aren't multiplying. They aren't
It's
multiplying.
how is that multiplication if it
I
fucking
guess
works?
he thinks. I guess he thinks he's the only person who's figured out certain like paradoxes in linear algebra, but
What's it's not even a paradox. 1 times 1 is not a paradox.
no, I'm not talking about that specific thing. I'm talking about all the stuff that like Neil deGrasse Tyson left notes on his paper for.
Oh
Like
yeah, 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 yeah,
where he specifically,
yeah,
put on there this is false. This is what actually happens.
yeah.
Um,
The amount
showing him
the
that
amount of red type on that paper when Neil was done with it is like holy shit.
yeah, it's not a scientific paper. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not a scientific paper. If he would have put that into circulation in the mathematical community, he probably would have gotten laughed at.
Oh yeah,
Um,
exactly.
yeah, and that's the way that you get your stuff noticed is you send it through the academic community. You don't say, well, they're just trying to prove me wrong and they have a bias against me. That's their job.
Exactly.
Their
Yeah,
job is to try to prove your shit wrong so that we can get the best.
Exactly.
yeah. That's
So we can
Graham
get the best.
Hancock.
So
Exactly.
so we can get the best information that we can.
Yep.
I forgot where I was going with that because of all the exactlies.
Sorry.
It's okay. Um, so since we're still going, let's still talk about a few more things. I'll just mention, of course, a possible futurist thing is that we're going to use blockchain and decentralized technologies, not just with Bitcoin and things, but like applications to supply chains, voting systems, digital identity management. I mean, like there's a lot of things that can be done with the decentralization of the concept of blockchain. But the next one that we'll talk about is 3D printing and additive manufacturing is going to get better to where we can have more complex objects from more harder and complex materials to where we can basically 3D print houses and 3D print buildings. And,
Correct.
I see no reason why we can't do that with concrete
Yeah.
and with everything else because they're already doing it.
Yes. 100% that will happen.
And I think the last one to talk about is longevity and anti-aging research. Obviously, futurists are very interested in the longevity process of maybe downloading our brain into the internet or downloading our brain into some digital afterlife or into an android or whatever you want to tickles your fancy. Um,
Yeah, I mean, longevity seems like a fool's errand to me, though, because at some point you're going to say, okay, it's been long enough, right? So,
Yeah, but I mean, who knows if we're put into multiple androids, and when that android, deteriorates after so many thousands of years or whatever, we're put into another one. It's going to be I imagine it would be a cloning thing, to
no,
where
no,
we're
no,
doing.
no. I guess what I'm saying is like the individual identity within those things is going to say, okay, now has been long enough, right? So it's
I
not
don't know what you mean.
not
I'm
a
talking about like if you if
yes. Yeah, I'm talking about the human thing as well. So imagine if your brain is put into a machine, and that machine lasts however long. I'm not talking about the longevity of the machine. I'm talking about the longevity of you as a mind being like, I want
Scott, that's
this
what
to
I'm talking
continue.
about, brother. You got to let me finish.
Oh, sorry.
It's exactly what I'm talking about. So the longevity of the android doesn't matter. It's like cloning. When you clone too many times, this is futurist ideology. Cloning someone so many times, there might be a decrease in the amount of your personality and your identity over each iteration because it would be watering it down. I don't know what kind of androids that we could be in that would have neuroplastic brains for us to be able to put our consciousness in. I don't even know what that would mean. But I mean, eventually, if they don't have some kind of solution for it in the future, it will just be almost nothing like our original self in the human body. So,
No, no.
yeah.
Okay, so I'm actually talking about something different. I'm talking about like, imagine if your mind could be put into a machine, and that machine has no time frame. It could literally exist forever. So when is your mind gonna say, okay, I don't want to do this anymore, right? Like at some point, like if you're given eternal life, at some point you're just gonna say it's like, okay, well, I don't want to live anymore.
I think there's going to be an iteration problem unless they find a way to solve that. The more that you, doesn't matter how advanced the robot is or how advanced the android is, there's going to be, I don't think there's going to be anything able to, unless we can just build a brain, and like a living brain, and we can put our brain into the. I don't know how that would work, but if
Yeah.
that's the case, eventually it would not be us. After about 3 or 4 thousand years, it would just be a different entity altogether
Oh
because
yeah,
most
yeah.
would be lost
Well,
in the
well
constant changing of that android.
yeah. Think past the iteration problem. If you could be put into a brain, like all of a sudden your experience, everything that you know, can be put into something that's eternal. How long would you want to go on? Would there be any point
I
where
don't
you
want to live eternally, so that's out of the question.
uh, well, it's the question for this problem though, right? So when we can look at iteration problems and like, okay, during enough iterations it's going to degrade. But if we can put ourselves into a system where there's no degradation but we can still just live forever, there's going to be a point where that mind would be like, oh, I don't want to live anymore, right?
I don't want to live eternally. That's all I can say. Does that? I
Exactly,
said that a
exactly.
second ago. I
Well, I
was like,
mean,
I don't want to live eternally.
if
So,
you if you're
if someone else wanted to, go for it.
I think the thing is, if you're building your own like fundamental structure, then couldn't you build it so that you don't mind living forever? Couldn't you like
Ooh,
change yourself?
man, yeah, I think that goes to what Thomas would be saying though, is then you'd be changing who you are to like change yourself to live forever. As where Thomas is like, no, I don't want to live forever, right? Like eternity seems like torture.
So I
I
guess
mean, if everyone can live eternally, yeah, that's great. Sure, put me in there. But I don't see anything that we could do to make it eternal. Now, in the future, there might be a way to like create a brain, and then there's some way to like digitally transport our consciousness to that. And maybe there are no iteration problems. Maybe they've solved that. Maybe they just, you can
Yeah.
just do it infinitely, and the androids and shit become more and more advanced the longer and longer it goes. I don't know if I'd want to live forever. If everybody on the earth was living forever with me, my family and my friends and stuff were living together with me, I don't really know if I'd care. But I don't know. Technically, as of right now, we know that the Earth, well, we know, as far as physics tells us, that trillions of years from now, the only thing that's going to be left are black holes in a thermally equilibrated, if that's even a word,
Yeah.
state, an entropy state, and that's trillions of years from now. So if we were living forever, and it is true that we're going to be in an entropic state, I don't. Would we just be floating out there as androids? I mean, just living forever. I have no idea.
Exactly.
I have no idea. So no, I don't think if the universe isn't eternal or whatever. I don't know if we can be eternal. Um, I think the universe may be infinitely large, but I don't know if it's like
Yeah.
eternal in a way that I don't know. Maybe I'm using the word wrong, but
No. I think you're using the word right. I think most people would be like, "Oh, I'll take a couple thousand more years to see what's going on."
I
But
think the more we
eternal,
learn about physics, we may learn that there is no heat death. I don't know.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
I mean,
true.
100 years ago, they thought that the universe was a static, not moving thing. Other than
exactly,
like planets orbiting each other and stuff.
exactly.
So it could be completely different in 100 more years. It could be way, way different.
Exactly.
I I'm pro living eternally, but as long as I get the stipulations, as long as it's not like you keep aging, you just don't die or something. As long
You
as
just keep aging. You're eventually just a prune.
yeah,
You're,
you're just a
you're basically
skeleton in your brain,
you're
still talking.
Skeletor. You're basically just Skeletor.
Dude, you were literally just bones, like fucking walking the earth.
As long as it's not silly, then I'll take immortality and chill.
Man, to me, immortality seems like a curse, right?
I
That
think it's a curse if you keep aging.
I
It's a
mean, if I
curse.
have to live with bipolar disorder forever, yeah, it's going to be a curse. I don't want to
Yeah,
do that.
100%. Yeah, if I can't keep improving as a person, then it's not really living forever. I'm like static. I'm a dead entity that's perpetuating. But I
ex-
wouldn't call that living.
exactly.
I would need to be able to always be changing, and that's why I think it's okay to be able to change yourself to want to live forever, because that's part of life, is to like grow, keep growing.
It would be cool to extend our lifetimes, maybe a few thousand years or something, but eventually, if nobody else can be eternal around you, you're going to get really, really lonely really quick. So,
Yeah,
uh,
that's what I'm saying. Like a couple thousand years would be great, but like 100,000 years, like imagine if you just lived a
yeah,
hundred
if everybody's not eternal along with me in their android bodies, then I
thousand.
really don't want to do it.
That
Yeah,
would suck.
And if
it
I'm still,
would
and
really suck.
if I'm still bipolar in my android body, then uh, that's going to be a huge problem. I'm definitely going to try jumping off a bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And every time you try jumping off, you just float to the top.
Damn it.
it's like Sisyphus hell.
Yep. Isn't that pushing the boulder up forever or
Yeah,
It
pushing the
is, yeah.
boulder up
It's yeah,
forever.
that's Sisyphus.
I've had a delicious time. This conversation has been absolutely wonderful. We're at the hour and 30-minute mark, which we really never go over. And I think we've covered everything really well. Scott's a brilliant motherfucker. Dal is a brilliant motherfucker. We're, we're, we're all having fun with this shit. We love this kind of stuff. So thanks for joining us tonight. We always love you for your patience because this is a live show and I don't ever care to have like super preppy, like, you know, sorted out content that's like clipped and cut perfectly. I don't like that. But anyway, guys, really appreciate you for joining us. Hope you had fun tonight listening to us babble about science stuff. Please like and subscribe my video. Subscribe to my channel and like my video, and leave a comment, please. Even if you're in the future, years from now, we say hello to you. Anyway, love you and good night.
Love you guys.
Bye.